is interesting because I was listening to what you were saying, and the funny thing is, after that documentary, I actually did a lot of fiction. 4 years later, that I had to work on another documentary, a future documentary, directed. It wasn't, no, it wasn't 2000, but it took like a good amount of years before I actually worked in a documentary. So funny thing is, I was doing graphic design and artistic direction, and this is why I studied like visual communication, but mainly it was like for print or at least digital, but it was like still media. And even at that time, I was doing I would say on my personal time, I was doing photography, but more like documentary photography. It was more like that. I was just wandering the street, I see some things interesting, I snap them. And even for a couple of moments, I was like using a lot my phone, not for any technical reason. It was more like, okay, I was trying to train my eyes, and I would say any type of camera, to understand like, okay, I might have seen something. Okay, now I need to frame it and find out exactly what I sense, so to speak. But funny thing is, like, when I graduated, the project I had to do was a documentary, so to speak. It was a school project, and we had like a well-known photographer from outside the school who came. We wanted to do an animation movie, and we were in the communication section, so we had to take care of the whole packaging and communication tools. And within my group, being the guy that was like really into cinema, they was like, "Oh, Frank, you know anything? What do you want to do? I mean, you're a cinema guy. You want to do like a documentary about it?" I was like, "Cool, sure." We do a documentary, and then we'll use that as a packaging for the film. There will be the film. There will be like a kind of documentary / behind the scene for that movie. And so that's how I got into doing that, because when I did that, it went well, it was nice. I mean, I didn't know anything at that time. This is before the rhythm of my life. I didn't know anything, but I kind of liked the process. I enjoyed it. And then when I did an internship in New York, I happened to be living, and I was like renting a place in a producer house. Like the place that I was renting belonged to a producer, and it was a producer who did Just for Kicks, a documentary about the sneaker culture and everything. That was eye-opening to me, because at first I was more like, okay, we're going to do like a small documentary to kind of narrate everything that happened in their experience and everything. There was not a real complex storyline for me to build, because I was more in the capacity of helping somebody. But then as we discussed with my friend and we heard the story of those people, even with like simple interviews, it was like very powerful, and that's when the story takes over whatever genre, style, or I don't want to, I mean, I'm saying tricks, but everything that the palette offers you to captivate people to listen to a story. You don't even, like, at this point, we didn't even need that. And I believe like those type of stories are what I want to pursue future-wise, but also I would say going after testimony of people's culture. And I'm saying that because there's a lot of culture that are just sometimes disappearing overnight, and we don't know that it's been happening for years and years and years. And we just, the moment like we discover it, a scientist or anthropologist might tell you like, okay, like last month, there's no one that speaks that language anymore. That culture is gone. There's nobody representing that culture. And I found that it was as important to tackle this type of issues. So I guess like, in a way, those are the type of theme and subject that I'm going after, but I allowed myself time to understand myself a little bit more, and also understand better my voice to be able to talk about those stories, make documentaries about those stories, but in the most effective way. If there is one word that I could use first, it would be like welcoming. I mean, the experience was really welcoming, warm. It was the first for us to that was our first movie with Marco, that going to festivals and interacting with audiences that we don't know nothing about, we don't know people. And I guess the funny thing is, we told ourselves when we knew we won the audience award. I remember talking with Marco and the other crew member and the other protagonist and crew members. I was like, the audience award for us was like the best award we could win. Actually, even if that was grand prize and everything, but for us it was more like we did something in Gabon, in a different culture, a different country, and realized that throughout that story, people from different backgrounds, being a different place, just took that story, grasped it, and enjoyed it. And for us, it was more like a testimony that we're able to tell stories that can resonate globally, and that has a global impact. So that's why the audience award for us, when we won, it was like that was the best for us. I would say right now what happened is I worked a lot more as a cinematographer, and I've done some shorts, some independent feature. I shot 2 TV shows, one in Senegal, one in Ivory Coast, for Canal, Netflix. The one I work is on Netflix now, I believe, Netflix Africa. And I'll say right now, there's like 2 or 3 directors that I'm working very closely and are developing future. And I say personally on the directorial side, we're more in development with a friend to I guess the right word will be to build an ecosystem back home, to make sure that we kind of contribute to training people to a certain degree, technically speaking, and having this training matching real project. Meaning it's not just about training people, it's like training and actually doing short form fiction or documentary. There were some times where we didn't know how the session would go in terms of, okay, they would come to the studio, they would work, but we didn't know exactly if there was something more interesting than that. So you're hoping something happened, but then I guess, there's some part where this is the magic. But then if you spend a lot of time and you know your subject, you know if you're gonna have more random moments than not. And for that particular documentary, I guess we knew we had the capacity and ability to freestyle whenever he's inspired. So we knew we had to be kind of always ready because something could happen. But up to today, it's a very project to project basis, because I have like scenarios in mind how to tackle this, but it's never a perfect thing. Like the thing, the document I was talking about with the visually impaired people and blind people, is I was by myself. I didn't have 2 cameras, and it was frustrating because I knew exactly what I wanted visually, but I was constantly, and also there's like within the workshop, there was like 2 groups at the same time. So I had to constantly move from one to another, knowing that I would miss stuff, and especially when you have them working on their art, like learning the learning curve and executing stuff. It's important for your story. It's important because you want to make sure that people, when they're going to talk about specific thing during the interview, you will want to have this visual to represent that. And I knew, like, my biggest fear was like, I'm probably going to miss, like, sometimes I'm sure I'm going to hit the part of the interview and I'm going to be missing something because I'm in group A and not group B. And it was really frustrating at the beginning. And then the only answer I had was like, no, just let go and, just wing it. Like observe, try to feel the room, point, shoot, do what you have and sink in. And when you feel like you spend quite some time at some place, or you feel like it's like whatever is happening is like going a little bit to rest, or it's not that much interesting, it's being repetitive, jump to the other group. Or sometimes I would just listen, like being focused on one group and listen with my ear what was going on in the ambient sound, so that maybe if I hear something like a subject is debating about something, I can jump back and boom, switch to the other group. I guess that's my best answer is like, even today, I'm not quite sure how to tackle this, but I would say most of the time, knowing myself on that would be trying to feel the room, trying to feel the people that are in the room, and just wing it.